This video is going to show how to combine two people into one using Photoshop CS3 for Brian Klein at Roseville High School. First, I want to open a couple images. Let's say I want to open this number 2. When you open an image, if you want to see two at once, you can restore it down, meaning this button up here next to the lower X, one right next to it, restore down, click on that. So it gives you a floating box in here, let's say, and let's say I want another image, and let's say I picked number, I don't know, number 10. Yikes. Okay, so let's say we want to put this girl's face over on top of this girl's face. So the favorite tool I like to use is the polygonal lasso tool. Now, by default, Photoshop might have the lasso tool up front. It's the third one down. Hold down lasso tool and go to the polygonal lasso tool. And then you're not going to click and drag, but just simply click around the person's face. Something like this. If you use a lasso tool, you have to click and hold the mouse and drag around. It's less precise than doing it this way. Now notice when I go back to the beginning point, that little tiny circle will appear. That means it's a loop. And now I have one area selected. And next, you want to go to Select, Modify, Feather, and let's say I'm feathering it 5 pixels. Put 5 in here. And click OK. And instead of telling you why I'm doing everything, I'm just going to do this and you can figure it out. Or X if you want to know. So I feathered it 5. Next I want to go to Edit Copy. I want to copy my selection. I just did here. And then I want to go over to this picture over here and paste it. There's a couple ways you can do that. I just clicked on it and then I can go to Edit, Paste, and then it puts the picture on there. Notice how this face is a floating face, and notice how the edge of it, let's say right along here, it's a very soft edge. It's not a hard edge like you take with the scissors because I feathered it 5 pixels. Anyway, I'm going to put this into position, and this blonde girl's head is tilted just a little bit more so than the brunette's head. So let's say I want to turn on my Show Transform Control, check. And I get these handles here, and if I hover just over the corner, you see this double arrow here, it means I can click and rotate it like so. I'm going to put this into position about where I want it. Let's say I want it just like that. And then I hit enter on my keyboard. You can't see what I'm doing, but I clicked enter, so it accepted that. I can remove that check on the transform controls. Now notice in this corner up or above her right eye, I got a little bit too much of the original brunette's picture. I want that to be kind of behind the blonde hair. So I'm going to go over to my eraser tool, which is over here. Hover over and I'll give you what it's called, the eraser tool. And set your brush size to a soft brush. Notice how you have hard edge brushes and soft edge brushes. So I'm going to click on one that's a soft edge brush. Let's say 65. And then you can also adjust it down to whatever number you want. Let's say I want it to be 56 size. That's 56 pixels. If you hover over, you'll see about how big the brush is. This one is so big, a little bigger than our whole eye there. If I bring the diameter of it up, you notice how big it is now. It's bigger. So I want one again that's about in the 50s for what I'm doing on this picture. Every picture matters is how big it is, but these two pictures, 56 sounds about right. My opacity and flow, I chose 67 and 56. Brian, you might know why I chose those numbers. Anyway, if I click around right here, basically what I'm doing is I am erasing just part of the face that I brought in because it's on the layer that I brought in. If I open up this layer with the eyeball and close that one down, there's the original picture. Turn on that layer, and I want to blend in best I can the skin tones from the picture I brought in with the one that's the host, let's say. Another thing I can do, depending on their skin tones, if they're very different, I can go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. I'll move this out of the way. So if I adjust the levels of the picture to make it darker, or take this slider in, and notice how it's making it darker. I don't want that dark, but I want the skin tones to be about the same. So make it here, and this side does the lightness side of it. I wouldn't want it too bright. Bring that back out just to make it about the same. That's the original. I'll make it to that one. Okay. So again, that's the original girl with a lot of mascara on, and then there's the new face on top of it. With my transform controls, I click on this top button, go to my transform controls. If I want to make it funnier, I can stretch it out or scrunch it in. Let's see, I want to scrunch it like that. Make it a little wider. So if I do that, notice again I'm having a little ghosting on the outside here. I want to erase that. So I hit my enter button to accept that, turn off that control, get back to my eraser tool, and I just want to erase the part that's over the hair out here. So I'm just going to erase, but I'm just clicking here to erase. To show what this tool does, if I click and erase everything, it's just erasing everything over a face, but I don't want to do that. I want to do that. I just want to erase the parts, and all I'm working on now basically is this layer 1, which is that extra face. I'm really working on just this, by just erasing some of these parts. I haven't done anything to the background layer at all. That's locked anyway. So all I'm working on is this extra part on top. And that's it. That's how you do it. That's how you put one face on top of the other. And, you know, at this point, file save as, and you're going to want to save it as a JPEG, because if you leave your layers in here, it's saving as a Photoshop document, and other people cannot open it necessarily if you want to email it or whatever. So make sure you go to File, Save As, and change the format to a JPEG. And then when it's a JPEG, then you navigate over to wherever you want to put it. Let's say you want to put it in your My Pictures folder in My Documents, and call it whatever you want to call it. And it'll put a .jpeg extension on there for you. And then I like to leave it at maximum quality baseline standard, and that you can slide the quality level, but default might be 8, but I like to put it all the way up to 12. And then OK, and close this other stuff down. I don't care about saving anything here. If I open up the one I just did, open, and I called that one Yikes. There it is, Yikes. It's just a JPEG, a flattened picture. And that's it. And that's the lesson. Hope that helps. I'd recommend going back in the video, and if you don't want to hear me talk, just look and see, look at what I'm clicking on, what tools I'm using to accomplish what I want to accomplish. Basically, I went around this part of the face I wanted. I modified it by going to select, modify, and then feather. I did it 5 pixels just so I give it a nice soft edge. Copied and pasted on the new one, and then erase some of the edges I didn't want, and then there you go. That's it. Good luck.